Right, welcome everybody to another episode of Chris and Dave's Reality. I am one of your hosts, Chris Phelps, and my co-host and great friend is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hi there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. We are covering Love Island UK Series 8, Episode 43. Well, Chris, we're back on Problematic Island. So where would you like to start today?
Well, Dave, Love Island this year is very much like what's happening with the government in the UK. It started off good. Well, not good because, yeah. But anyway, let's not get political. But basically, this
analogy is fucking
terrible.
shit
it's
straight
shit.
away.
I know. There's holes all over. But anyway, I never thought that I would sort of be rooting for Andrew and Tasha, Dave. But fucking 180 Phelps again. Luca and Dami are a pair of fucking cocks. I know I said all that about Luca, but Dami's on the fucking naughty step as well. What a pair of dicks, Dave. And by the end of it, I was like, you know what? Andrew and Tasha deserve better now. And she does, because I loathe to say the B word because it's bandied about too much. But this is bordering on bullying now, Dave. I don't know if it's bordering. I think it is bullying. And Luca, I think he's like someone scorned because I think he likes Tasha and he's just giving her so much shit now. It's just gone beyond calling her out and stuff. It's just wrong, Dave, for me now.
Yeah. Now, we both had our criticisms of Andrew and Tasha at different times, sometimes at the same time. But I'm with you. And, you know, I'll show my hand. Did you vote at the end, Chris? Favourite boy, favourite girl?
We did. Well, we did a joint effort, actually, and we didn't vote for either of any.
Okay. Well, I'll just say that so I'd have voted favourite boy, I'd have gone Deji. But I think he'll get plenty of votes anyway. And I was like, you know what, I really fucked Luca over. In particular, is if Andrew and Tasha, they've always been in the bottom three, he will be so pissed off. And so my vote went to Andrew and Tasha. I've done the 180 with you. And part of it was driven from that whole first confrontation, if you like. And it's just... I don't know. Is it bullying? It's in the conversation that it's bullying. It's just relentless, I think is a word I feel more comfortable saying. You know, just the having a go. And the fact that the thing that came up in the whole competition, it was that question, wasn't it? Who do you think's riding on the coattails of their partner? And so he chose Tasha. And then it's like, what? Where is the logic there? Because riding on the coattails of Andrew, he's always in the bottom fucking three.
Yeah.
I think Ekin-Su even said, didn't she? You know, it's like there is no actual logic there. You're just choosing to stick the boot in again. And God bless him, he's not very good at confrontation, but Andrew comes over and he tries to say his piece and he tries to, like, you know, have a bit of a word, but he ends up getting double teamed by Luca and Dami, who's both just like, no, we fucking say whatever we want. Chris, I was fucking hoping he would just, you know, go off on one a little bit, because you'd have to say if that was you in your everyday life, you'd have to say something to the effect of, guys, you might not like my girlfriend, but she's my girlfriend. So you can either get with the program or fuck off. And that is the start, middle, and end of it. So get used to it, or then if I have to make a choice between you and her, it's her.
Yeah.
Because that's the road that he's chosen. So he's got to go with it. And they cannot respect that. And like fucking Dami in the VT, it's like, oh, I don't know what's happened to Andrew. He's never usually like that. They like their submissive, quiet, you know, Andrew that they can manipulate. And they don't like when he's actually trying to step up and not doing a great job, I don't think. But he was trying to step up. Fair play to him.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dave. I mean, from a joke point of view, he reminded me of David Brent when he came over. He come over all guns blazing, and I was with you. I was rooting for him. I was like, fucking give it these two. Because let's be honest, Dave. So going by their logic, Dami and Luca, they're mates who tell the truth, right? Now, don't get me wrong. what Luca was saying, like with the way she flip-flopped and all that, and we've discussed this to an edge, it's all done now, innit? We've talked about it enough. I'm not saying that what he's saying, there isn't a point there because he can clearly see it, but Andrew is not innocent in any of this anyway. Fucking hell, Dave. We had fucking Titgate, everything. He was in the pool with Coco, Jasmine, who we didn't even see on camera. There was something going on there. He wasn't innocent. So this is their logic. They're saying to Andrew, we're going to tell you straight. So by Luca's own logic, do you think he'd be happy if Andrew turned around and said, mate, you're a possessive fucking psycho who absolutely gaslights Gemma all the time and absolutely has a second guessing at every single thing that she does, even when there's nothing in it. Do you think he'd accept that, Dave, as a mate? Would he fuck? And would Dami accept Andrew slagging him off, saying, you are taking the piss out of India, you were disrespectful, blah, blah, blah. No, he wouldn't. All that, exactly what you said. It's good for them to give the advice out, but when their relationships are falling apart, they would not be interested. And Luca would go off on one if Andrew said that to him. So he's such a fucking hypocrite, the little dick.
But also, he's saying that, she's done the safest thing. She's come in with someone else from Casa Amor, and then she's gone back to you as a safe option. I'm like, are you talking to Andrew about Tasha, or are you describing what Dami did?
Yeah.
It's like, it's the same fucking thing by that logic, isn't it? He just blatantly doesn't like her. And, I think Andrew's maybe starting to see it, but, he hasn't done so far. I remember, Chris, there's a character I knew, right? It's very much like Luca's sort of personality. And, I always used to like to dish out the shit, and the banter, but, didn't like it coming back the other way. And, I'm normally really just water off a duck's back, just whatever. But there's on this one occasion, this guy is just relentlessly fucking sledging me about something. I can't even remember what. It wasn't deep. It was just like some nonsense, like. And this guy, he did look a little bit like Lily Savage. And so he just kept going. And in the end, I was just like, oh, fuck off, Lily Savage. Right? And then he's like, well, there's no need for that, Dave. And then I feel like to see you next Tuesday then. It's like, oh, shit, did I go too far there? It's like, with time and distance from it, it's like, no, you just fucking giving it back. But I always think back to that, and I think, what could I have done differently with that personality type, with that character? Because, if you're going to fucking dish it out, you got to be prepared to take it. And I don't think Luca's learned that yet.
No. And I'm with you, Dave. We all know people like that, definitely. Some of my family loved to crack a joke and everything. You give it back, Dave. Oh, there's hell to pay, my friend. Hell to pay. Yeah. And they get you back and they get nasty and they get worse. And this has been some of that. I mean, me, I'm a joker. I can take stuff out. If you give it, you've got to be able to take it, Dave. Yeah. With these sort of things. You've got to, whether you like it or not. If you were going to be a smart ass, and my fucking voice gets me in a lot of trouble, but I do love it when people give it me back as well, because that's what it's about. But yeah, it just doesn't sit well with me. And when Andrew was coming over, Luca was like, oh, he's coming. Here's Andrew. But they were like, oh, he's going to come over. Before that, he said he's going to come over, agree with me and Dami and all this. And I'm like, you're not fucking friends. You wouldn't say that, you pair of fucking cocks. And I tell you what, Dave, as well, is what I'm disappointed in more than anything. And this isn't to push the blame off Luca and Dami, because they are the ones completely responsible for being and I'm going to say this, I hate saying this word, but they're a pair of cunts, Dave. I hate saying that, but they are. And they're horrible. But Gemma and India should pull them up. They should pull them up as their girlfriends. They were sat there on the daybed things. They should. I'm not saying they're going full on giving him digs, but especially Gemma. Gemma's really good. And this isn't to blame them at all, because it's a tricky situation and they probably don't want to get involved. But at some point, they should pull them, even if it's away from everyone, and say, you're out of order there. Why are you getting involved? There's nothing to do with you. You wouldn't like it if he did it to us. I think there has to be a discussion. If Luke is open to this, I'm giving you advice as a true friend, then he should be able to accept it back the other way. And we've seen it so many times. The movie night the other night, he was fucking laughing his cock off when everything was going wrong in everyone else's relationships. But as soon as something happened on his, I'm fuming. I am fucking fuming. Dickhead. Absolute dick. But I didn't think we'd have the drama going into week 7. Fuck me, Dave. And it's unbelievable how they're changing people. We were like, oh, I'm not interested. And now we're like, I want them to go further. It's brilliant, Love Island, isn't it? If you listen to our first episodes to now, what a changed characters we are, a journey we've been on with all these people.
But we just call it how we see it, don't we? And we're we are led a bit by the producers in that respect, aren't they? They edit it and they're showing us the storylines they want us to see. And so, we try and interpret that and what we're seeing and what we're not seeing as well. But, people do go on a different path, don't they, through this thing? And I a few weeks ago, I never thought I'd be rooting for Andrew and Tasha, but I'll tell you what, it's such a low bar this year. Dami, who I thought, I literally said, I'm sure it was like a couple of days ago, splice out Casa Amor. And actually, the way he's been with India, I've really enjoyed seeing them two on screen together. But his treatment of Summer was also fucking shit. I mean, Chris, you actually started off the episode with two fucking shit apologies. Two hollow, meaningless, I kind of have to do this apology, but I don't really want to, from Dami and first from Luca. Luca was basically telling Gemma that she was a bit naive not to see what Billy was doing. Right. So you're blaming Gemma then? Oh, nice one. He wants to smooth things over, clearly, and he's calmed down a bit, but didn't really seem like that much of an apology to me. And Gemma, she seems so sensible. She seems so mature for her age, but she's got a fucking blind spot for that dickhead. Yeah. And then, with Dami, like, he went over and he's like, oh, it seemed like you were throwing all these landmines. Again, placing the blame onto Summer. You brought her back, you fucking idiot. You brought Summer back and you had your little rehearsed line about Summer's not over. And it's like, oh, well, you're clearly reading too much into this. What?
Yeah.
And both things, you pair what both of those boys are saying up. There's parallels, isn't there? It's like Gemma's fault because she didn't see what Billy was trying to do. Whereas, Summer's just catching feelings way too quick. And like I said, I can't get over the fact that he fucking brought Summer back. And so I like the way India's kind of dealing with it. She's not just ignoring what's happened. She's not placing any blame on Summer, but she's kind of like choosing to get over it, I guess. That's her choice. But I'm certainly not rooting for them, not rooting for Dami and India, rather, not voting for Luca and Gemma either.
Interesting. And you know what, Dave? I know we're giving Tasha and Andrew, a bit of a pass there, and quite rightly, because he's discussing what happened. But what did you think when Tash went over to Davide and Ekin-Su and said they were the fakest couple? And Ekin got a backup, didn't she? When she said, oh, you're always in the bottom three. That was a bit bitchy. But I wasn't expecting that from Tasha. I thought she got on well with Ekin-Su. I know they're not best mates, but
who's she going to pick, though?
Yeah.
She's probably, again, I don't think Tasha likes confrontation, just like Andrew doesn't like confrontation. So, she's not going to go with Luca initially. And then, Danica, Deji, Summer, India, she's not going to choose those guys because, they're not coming across as fake. And, we saw an interesting arc with Ekin-Su and Davide, but I think Gemma was saying, "All right, yeah, they'll make up and then they'll break up in 3 days." It's like, so I think Tasha, she had to pick someone. I don't think there was any other choice.
Good call, David. Good call. I think the game went as well, and you're right. This was part of that initial game, and then we had Snog marry Pie, and I kept thinking Luca and Dami are getting all of them, and they got all the pies, Dave. There was no one else got a pie. They both got all the pies, and quite rightly. And I love that India laid into him. She went to marry Billy, was it? And Dami's like, she's not even marrying me. Oh, yeah. And then she pied him and went, I ain't forgotten what you did to Summer and stuff. And I was like, go on, girl. Yeah. So maybe I've just, I'm calling myself, I've just said why she not had a word. Maybe that's her way of telling him you need to stop being a dick, basically, and getting involved. So brilliant on India. Absolutely excellent. I'm just worried about tomorrow night's episode because I've got a feeling the lads are going to be nasty bastards, Dave. I really do. Not all of them. The main culprits.
I think you're right. I mean, you know that Luca's going to pie Tasha. It's probably, I don't know. He was saying when Luca got pied by Paige, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, that's because of what happened in week 1." That is. No, she literally gave you the fucking reason there. You're a massive shit stirrer. She said the words. Just listen to that. Don't think it's all about, your actions, and the fact that you've pied her off in the past and so she's getting her own back. No, you're a massive fucking shit stirrer. You deserve the pie. Did like the fact that India got Dami. I agree. I tell you what, Chris, Tasha's full force pie for Luca. I thought he was going to come out looking like Voldemort or just take him off his feet. There was some feeling behind that. And, I'm not saying I was punching in the air. I was at least mentally punching in the air. I was glad she got a pie in there.
I love that as well because they VT'd to Luke and he went, "I'm glad she did it with a bit of force." Yeah, tell your face that,
of course
son.
You are.
Tell your fucking face that. But I tell you what was funny because you said about Gemma in the blind spot, gets on her knees and when she loves him. And I'm like, oh, Gemma, no, fucking no. I mean, I think there's going to be a massive backlash with this lad more than we're seeing, Dave. I think there was a lot of concerns about Adam going in there and Adam hasn't done anything. He was even repairing Davide and Ekinsu's relationship. He's with Paige. Safest bet. She's not with Jax. Interesting character. I think Paige has got her fans, but she's also got people that don't like her. But he's safe. He's not doing anything. Maybe even the maturity of going in 4 years later has helped him because he's not done what he said he was going to do on the tin sort of thing. However, he's been comfortable. But I think at the end of all this, and we got a bit of Deji as well, Dave, which I'm happy. He had a little word with Danica, and then Danica got with fucking Billy the fucking fish, and which I wasn't happy with.
What the fuck is she doing there?
I don't know, Dave.
Why would you choose Billy? And I tell you what, Billy is the fucking worst for me.
Yeah.
Again, that in that game, he's like, oh, if Luca was, sat a couple away, I'd have kissed Gemma properly or something. He is a snaky fucker. And I just don't, he's not fucking funny. He just laughs at himself to try and create that aura of being funny. I just, honestly, I think Billy's the worst. I know we've given Luca and Dami a really hard time, but yeah, I just, again, people like that, they are just genuinely in it for a shag. They're up for the notches on the bedpost and they don't care. There's no bro code. There's no any code. It's just all out the window. Everything's fair game. Snaky little fucker with his shit-eating grin.
Yeah, and he was even doing it again with Luca, wasn't he? Saying the same, like trying to worm his way out of it. And I'm like, oh, mate. Oh, no. Yeah. But Deji's the man, Dave. Either Danica or Summer for me. Fuck it. They need to go. I like Danica. I think she's nice. I've said it a few times. Summer's nice as well, apart from the American accent. But they seem genuine. And I like when Summer and Deji are in the other room and they wake up and they're like, oh, this was fun. That's turning into one of the most enjoyable segments because they're just two normal people who don't want the drama and they're sort of separated from it at night and they wake up and like, oh, I've had a good 8 hours there. You know what I mean? Like I do like them yawning, messy hair conversations they have, Dave. I do like that in the mornings. But yeah, I mean, it's going into tomorrow's episode. Like I said, then I fear what we're going to get more. I think there's going to be a lot of complaints about this one. And I know it's fair game. It's all part of the game. But I think Luca and Dami, there's going to be some malice behind what they're doing, Dave. At some point, someone's probably going to have to step in because he might get, maybe Andrew will give them a fucking roasting. They deserve it. Whether they're going to listen is another thing.
Yeah, I don't think he will. I don't think he's got it in him, to be honest. I think it'll just continue to get worse. Chris, this sort of reminds me of last season. It's like, me, I'm as bad as anyone. I'm like, I can't wait for the drama. This is going to be so juicy. And then it comes, it's like, it's a bit too much Love Island. You've gone too far. And, again, we know that these people speak to the producers every fucking day. and you think, well, there's got to be a little bit of, a word in the ear. It's like, look, you're coming off like a right fucking see you next Tuesday here. Just calm it down because, all social media, you're going to get extreme views everywhere. It happens every season. So we shouldn't be surprised when it happens this season. And I just think it's gone a bit too far. I want to keep the drama. This is what we've got this week and then one full week left before the final. So next week you'd have to think, it's going to be on the wind down, isn't it? It's going to be the dates, it's going to be the speeches, it's going to be the baby game. It's the usual wind down. So this week, I think is probably going to be the last week of full on drama. And I do want it, but yeah, I just like it turned down a notch so it's not completely uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'd never thought I'd say that about Love Island, Dave, but it's just I want to root for. I know I keep saying Ekin-Su and Davide, and I hope they're there at the end more than the others, definitely. But a Friend Island needs to win it. The Dave Horrocks word, Friend Island, Dave. We say it is not Friend Island, but at this point, I want Friend Island to win it. Someone who's just not coupled up, doesn't create drama, walks off into the sunset with 25 grand in the pocket. However, if Ekin-Su stiffs Davide, even though I think they're probably going to win it, I'm all for it. Or Davide stiffs Ekin-Su. He might have already done that, Dave, but with the money, I mean, then game on.
Yeah. No, so let's see. I wouldn't be averse to a bombshell coming in, walking off with the 50K. Yeah. That's for sure with this lot.
Oh, definitely. So, Dave, we have got a load of emails today, so buckle up and grab yourselves a brew and let's give them a listen. Right, Dave, we've got a few emails today. So this first one's from Anto, and it says, "Hi, guys. Danica said it best. These men are trash. I felt like I have been waiting for movie night since Casa Amor, and I knew it would set everything off. Luca and Gemma, what is wrong with this Luca? Firstly, that shirt he had on made him look like a pink lady from Greece. Wow. Similarities to you, Dave. He was giving it all the big talk, laughing it up and smirking when he saw something he didn't like. He changed super quick. The hypocrisy is just too much. He's really giving me possessive, it's your fault if anyone else finds you attractive vibes," which is true because we said that. It's like he wants Gemma to wear those whole sight blockers so we can't see anyone else. I feel Luca wanted Gemma to feel really bad during the movie night and apologise for something that wasn't really that deep. And when she didn't, he changed his reason from being upset that she was talking to Billy to something else. He's doing my head in, but I think they will kiss and make up. Dami and India. I had such high hopes for these two. Feel like Dami does really like India, and I believe they can win. But whenever he has been faced with a situation where he just needs to be honest, he fumbles the bag and gets bent out of shape. Davide and Ekin-Su. Davide just needs to decide if he actually wants to be with this girl because he's starting to be just as wishy-washy as he claims she is. That's true, actually, Dave. That's a good point. Andrew, a.k.a. Mr. Breast Milk, and Tash. I don't have anything to say that hasn't been said. I was hoping there would be more fallout, but I suppose they did tell each other everything in the end. I do have to say I feel less connection to this season's boys, and I feel they are just a bunch of agony ants that gas each other up and egg each other on to do things, but then can't handle the consequences afterwards. Appreciate your insight and jokes, guys. The podcast is the highlight of my drive back from work. Keep up the great work, Anto.
Awesome. Yeah, some brilliant points in there. And yeah, have we ever had a season that is this crap for blokes, Chris? Because I thought last season was bad, but this one is definitely worse.
Yeah, it's gone up a notch, Dave. And I don't know. I mean, we said last year about the guys were younger and they seem very immature. These fuckers have just upped it even more, which is unbelievable. So yeah, I don't know. Just very, very strange bunch of guys. And hopefully some of them will reflect on the way they've acted in this. Because I did see Jax had said in his statement, like he holds himself responsible. He's watched it back. He couldn't initially watch it. He's watched it back. He said, no one else is at fault but me. So at least, Dave, whatever we think, if it's a PR stunt, I don't know. You take it for what it is, fair play to him for actually holding his hands up on that. You know what I mean? And hopefully he'll become a better person.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the statement. He was on After Sun as well, and
Yes, he
for
was.
me, he took total ownership over everything and said, "I've got a lot of stuff to work on." That's it. That's it for me.
Yeah.
I think, we want to see it. You've got to follow through on it now. You've said it, but for right now, I think that's all he can do. And not many of us get that chance, do we, when we're younger or any time, to see ourselves and see the worst of ourselves and go, you know what, I don't really like that person.
Yeah.
I'm sure if we all had that opportunity at different points in your life, I'm sure you'd see some things that you didn't like as well and would want to work on. So, no, fair play to the lad.
Yeah, that's true, Dave. We all have our faults, no matter who we are. So the next one's from Sophie, and I'm going to read the title of this one, Dave, because it is what I said in yesterday's show. Bish, the fucking fish fucker. Hi, lads. That's what feeling of a t-shirt going on. So I just thought I'd send an email after listening to the second part of Movie Night podcast. Firstly, I just want to say I completely agree with you guys. I agree with you what I've said about the guys. They're all toxic fuckers. But wanted to point out that as much as we could try to explain their actions away by saying this isn't real life and it's a bubble being in the villa, these lads didn't grow up in the villa. They've taken all their toxic traits from the outside world and they're showing them inside the villa. They didn't change personalities as soon as they entered the villa. And I don't think there's anything inherently about the villa that makes them toxic bastards. This is learned behavior, and 100% they've shown this behavior previously in their lives with women they've had relationships with in the past. The past few nights have been really triggering for a lot of women, as you can probably tell from the chats in the Facebook group. And yeah, we've read everything, haven't we, Dave? So yeah, I agree with that. And I really hope that this could make more men realise that just saying, well, I'm not like that, just isn't enough. We all know that not all men treat women like this, but by saying, yeah, I don't behave that way, is like washing your hands of it and saying it's not my issue. This then puts the onus onto us women to try to change the behaviour of men. Or actually, we then have to change our behaviour to try and mitigate being on the receiving end in the first place. And somehow it makes it our problem to solve. You could see this when not one of the lads called out the others for their toxic behaviours. It's all well and good saying, great, Andrew and Deji didn't get involved, but they didn't call out the others. If you're not calling out your friends for their behaviour, then it's like you're condoning it and letting them think it's okay to behave like that. Therefore, perpetrating the abusive behaviour even more. If more men just stood up to their friends rather than just repeating the same old line of not all men, then maybe we'd get somewhere. And as you both said, I only go after the woman who are interested in me line from Billy, and repeated it by the other boys is a major red flag behaviour for me. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Lastly, I would say Luca can get in the fucking sea, but I honestly wouldn't want to inflict the misogynistic piece of shit on the Paul Marine life. Keep up the great work. Love the podcast, Sophie.
This Luca Bish could not have come through at a better time, having just come after The Boys season 3.
Yeah.
And having the main character, and if you've not seen it, it's basically there's an Aquaman-like character who really likes having sex with fish. And there was plenty of graphic scenes for that, so I just can't not think of that when I read stuff like that. I don't know, Chris, really great points. I don't think we the whole "it's not real life" thing, right? This is how I see it. There's a lot of these things that are set up, and we try and imagine, okay, this is what the producers are doing, this is what they're meddling with. She's absolutely right that the guys come in with those personalities already, and they are playing up a bit. They're very aware that they're on reality TV, but you can't hold up that mask forever. But I think just the reason I constantly try and remind myself of that, it's not real life, is people go too far, right? So you see the stuff with Luca getting death threats and stuff. It's fucking too far. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's a great point that just ignoring it makes you sort of complicit as well. But Chris, it's been a long time since I was, going out on a regular basis to the pub. If there's something going off, would you dive in there? Because I think mostly what I would be thinking is, if it's someone in my immediate party, you might step in. But all the time I'd be thinking, I'm going to end up with a glass in the face here if I, make one wrong move.
Yeah, I think Sophie's right, actually, is what she's saying there. But I agree. I've been in that situation. I think most men have, where you've got either people close to you or you're in a situation within a pub. And what and I've seen this happen. I've done it myself, where you get involved in something because a guy mistreating a girl. And this isn't like some hero thing or anything, because it's not. But what you find happens is the girl then turns on you because you're going in there to try and help her or break up the situation, diffuse it, say, look, you can't speak to her, you can't. I've seen it physically where people have done this and you interject and you end up on the wrong end of it. And that isn't an excuse. That's not a cop-out at all. And I've also had it within my immediate family where I've had to step in, but at the point where I know I should have stepped in before and I didn't, because I didn't think it was real. Two, until they said, because again, you don't want to jump in and have that member of your family turn on you because they don't want to admit that's, that sometimes they don't want to admit what's happening. And it was someone really close to me that happened to in the last couple of years. And I eventually stepped in and I felt awful. There was no physical danger to it, but it wasn't the point. It was the fact that a lot of us could see in the family something wasn't right. And it's a very, very difficult thing. And it's something that I feel guilty about, Dave, but I'm not the first and I'm not the last. And I'm sure this is going to happen to me throughout my life. So Sophie's completely right. But sometimes doing the right thing doesn't always get you the right results, Dave, and it can backfire in your face. But that isn't an excuse for what I agree with exactly what she said, because I've made that mistake a few times.
I mean, the root cause is men who are acting. Excuse me. The root cause is the men who are acting like pricks. And, that absolutely shouldn't be just, shouldn't all just accept it and get on with it. The thing I'd say, Chris, I'm sure I've told you before. In fact, I remember posting it might have even been on Love Island, Chris. It's been that fucking long since we did anything else. But the most annoyed I've probably been in a nightclub is when I went dressed as Sporty Spice. My arse was like a pincushion because it had been fucking pinched that much. I was like, you bunch of fucking see you next Tuesdays. But obviously that wasn't just me. That's just a bunch of fucking arseholes who think that's acceptable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I like to think that things are better now than they were then, but it's still a fucking mile off where it needs to be.
Yeah, and judging by Love Island, Dave, if that's the barometer of the youth, we're fucked.
The thing is, it's not, the problem is not Jax. The problem is not Luca. The problem is not Dami. It's not anyone on Love Island, is it? It's a societal problem.
Yes.
But because of the behavior of some of these lads, it is triggering for people who watch it and think, I've had similar experiences in my life, and I'm worse. So...
Yeah. And the thing is, Dave, as well, what I would say positively is we do this podcast with two mates, like we're having a drink in the pub, taking the piss. We're ripping into it. Sometimes, it's usually me goes a bit far with some of the things we say, but we're nothing thingy with it. It's just honest opinion and assessment of the shows. But it's also nice when people can actually message in on here and on the Facebook page, and we can talk and have a proper adult discussion about things that they've seen on the show. And whether you agree or disagree, it's just nice. And sometimes it's nice for people to get it off the chest as well. So it's interesting, especially if it's triggering, Dave. You've got to talk about it. So no, total respect for everyone who's done that over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So the next one is from Jason. It's so painful watching Tasha's fake happiness. Like for once, I was Luca's side post the dumping a few episodes ago. Maybe his timing wasn't right, but I think I was totally right with him. She was totally overreacting and made herself look so fake and silly. She went from making Andrew a boyfriend to being upset about a random strangers not liking her. If she truly loved Andrew, she wouldn't give a damn about what others think. In fact, she literally said she was willing to leave the island with Andrew a few weeks ago. It just astounds me how she doesn't realise how bad this comes off. They will keep being in the bottom three until she cuts Andrew loose. Although, given Dami and Luca, they might get a break soon. And it's quite sad how imbalanced their relationship is. So, Dave, completely the opposite of the emails we've seen. But again, thanks, Jason. Great email. It's so strange because every medium that we watch this show on and we interact on, everyone's got an opinion, Dave, haven't they? On everyone. Like Sam's opinions are completely the opposite of mine, but she'll call stuff out that I don't see as a guy. And then sometimes I run stuff by Sam. And I know, like, Sam's not there. It's one lady, which is my wife. She's the person I spend the most time with. And I always say, well, what do you think about this? Is this me being guy code? Is this me being too much of a guy? Or what do you think? So I try and use her feelings on the show or things she points out sometimes. So makes me take a step back sometimes. It might not seem like I take a step back the way I jump in there sometimes, but there is times where I'm like, is this right what I'm thinking? And sometimes I'll say, what a bell and she is, or what a bell and he is. And she'll go, no, I don't see it like that. She pulled me up on Gemma a few times and made me realise, like, Gemma's very grown up and stuff, Dave. And then you see it for yourself and you're like, yeah, I was too blinded by the Michael Owen thing at the start and stuff like that. And it wasn't her fault, really. It was just the producers throwing her on us. Yeah. But she's a better person. So, yeah, interesting, Dave. Really interesting.
I think that Tasha is such a divisive character. If you look at the kind of social media interactions, the public votes and everything, you'd have to think the majority of people who watch Love Island are probably female, aren't they?
Yes.
So the fact that she's not popular because she's constantly in the bottom three, all the negative tweets, someone posted a graph about that the other day. So there's going to be a proportion of those that are male and female. But I think, if you look across the whole demographic, you say, well, there's plenty of girls who don't like Tasha either. I think for me, the crying thing, which caused a bit of drama between her and Luca. For me, that gets mixed up with why do people have this perception of Tasha? For me, at least, I can't speak for anyone else, but it's the fact that she sends off all the signals to Andrew that she's totally in. And then the new guy comes in and she's all giggly and, all happy that the new guy's in. She did that like 3 times. So that's where you start thinking, well, come on.
Yeah.
I can't really trust what you're projecting to Andrew, because we see on the cameras how you are with the other blokes as well. And, I think that, and then the fact that after the vote, which is just after they become boyfriend and girlfriend, it was almost the 4th event, if you like, isn't it? Where, she's sent off the signal. She's so happy with Andrew, but then after she's crying. And I do think, her background and everything, I think that's all been mixed in. But people, if that was a one-off event, people would probably look at it very differently. But it's the fact that what's gone on before with the flip-flopping, that for me is what formed the perception. And that's why I think it's such a divisive thing with the crying. I mean, look, gender stereotype slightly, but we're blokes, aren't we? So we process those emotions differently. We wouldn't go and have a chat with our mates and start crying. Or if we did, it'd be involuntary. We wouldn't be able to keep it in anymore. Then we'd have a little cry and then we'd be like, oh, I feel like a right twat now. It's just, I'm not saying it's a good thing. It's a thing. So yeah, I tell you what though, Chris, with recent events, I think Tasha and Andrew might just have turned the corner here with public perception. So all of these Highlanders, they're not going to take everyone with them. But I think in terms of the majority, let's wait and see. Yeah,
I agree with that, Dave. There has been a bit of a swing. So last one, Dave, is from Mona. Hey, love your latest podcast episode about the aftermath of movie night. Great job at calling out everyone's...
Sorry, I couldn't... Did you just say from Mona, hey? What about hey, Mona?
Craig McLaughlin. Hey, Mona. Ooh, Mona. That was a great song from was that the 80s or the 90s, Dave? I think
it was originally from the 60s or something, wasn't it? But Craig McLaughlin, that would have been early 90s, I reckon.
Well, yeah, with Neighbours coming to an end next week, Dave, it's quite apt that I've just said that. I apologise, Mona. Don't be telling me off.
It's just the way he said Mona. Hey. Sorry, brief digression.
Stop it. There's no need for that, Dave. Love your latest podcast episode about the aftermath of movie night. Great job at calling out everyone's bullshit behaviour, especially Luca being so manipulative. I have to say, I usually listen to the official podcast as well, but recently the way they skate over truly toxic instances under the guise of be kind doesn't sit well with me. No one needs to be ripping into the contestants, but not... No one needs to be ripping into the contestants, but not calling out the toxic, manipulative behaviour of some of the boys is not okay. There's so many teenagers probably watching the show that are going to think this kind of behaviour is normal and acceptable if they don't see people calling it out. Calling Luca and Jax nice guys and completely ignoring patterns of toxic behaviour is not okay. And then hearing that on Love Island After Sun, they're apparently ripping into Ekin-Su about the George scene, speculating about possible sexual stuff that happened and shaming her. So much for be kind. There seems to be quite a double standard from the official Love Island after shows. So good on you two for calling out the boys' behaviour, which is not okay, especially as you are both men. I think you're setting a great example. Oh, my word, Dave, we are framing that line. On another note, I by no means a fan of Tasha, but I think her crying about the bottom three comes out of extreme insecurity and has nothing to do with Andrew. Especially with her having a disability, I can see how she might be more affected by thinking people don't like her. Keep going with the great podcast. So it's slightly different what you said, Dave, but great email. And I will say, I know you did. I saw that After Sun and I thought that was bad. It was one of the panel that was on, and I think he was a comedian, and he dropped in there about Ekin-Su being a bit handsy, and they were all laughing and Laura's laughing. And I thought, that's fucking wrong, that. I mean, Jax was there, so obviously I don't know whether it didn't really pan to him until they were talking about Paige. But yeah, I did straight away. I was like, oh, that's fucking naughty, that's bad. Considering the online backlash that's happened because of the way the producers framed it, that's not a good look. And they just thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, it wasn't good. And it hit a nerve with me as well. Like, as soon as he said it, I just thought, that's not on. No, it's not. Well, look, you know me and you take the piss, Dave, but there's been a lot of discussion about this, especially with all the be kind stuff. Mona's so right about that. They're fucking hypocrites again. I just hope they all get the aftercare every contestant gets. Whatever we think of all the jokes, all the episodes, we've had 42, 43 episodes at this point. It's like there still needs to be a proper aftercare for all of them. I think there is, but do you not think, oh my God, this is going to get serious, but do you not think there's a massive missed opportunity? I mean, Chris, we talk about it because, well, frankly, if we weren't recording, we'd probably be talking about it anyway. And we talk about it, in terms of what we think in our own lives, what we think, as parents and society and all that sort of stuff, in terms of what's going on. But honestly, Chris, before I started watching Love Island, I didn't know what gaslighting was. I'd never heard of it. And then you sort of see the behavior. And this is what hooked me in on Series 5 in the first place. It was like, oh, crikey, it's really interesting the way they interact and the way, when someone's talking, say something untoward happens and then two people go off in different directions, then describe it in different ways, and they're very careful about the words that they choose to use, and then it comes back together and people try and establish the truth, and it's impossible because they're both describing it to make themselves look like they're not the bad person and stuff. There's all of these interactions between these people that are quite interesting, and some of it is the toxic behavior. And I'm not saying you should put this on in schools and stuff, but some of it should be held out there and say, like, you know what gaslighting is this. Let's look at this scene, and then you sort of put it on and say, does anyone see what's wrong with that? And then we've seen loads of examples of it, this season and the seasons before as well. And you're like, obviously not in the way we would phrase it, but this is not fucking on, is it? If you find yourself in this situation, it's not okay. Yeah, that's true. And you're right, we have gone serious, but I think that's a great point to make, Dave. I really do. I think you're right. I'm the same. A lot of the reality shows have made me understand. It sounds so silly to say that, but it does, because it probably was something I won't really be talking about unless you go on some course at work, which everyone should go on. I'm not just saying that. I'm not just trying to be like, current and say, yes, we need, it is things that people need to aware of because it can improve people's relationships and behavior.
If you're a gaslighter, David, I'm sure at every point in our lives, we've gaslit people. I'm sure Sam could say that about me, whatever. I'm sure even if it's unintentional, it can happen. And we've been together 24 years, Dave. So it's a long time to be together. So I'm sure we've both done that to each other over our time together. Obviously Sam's always right and I'm wrong. And that's the end of it, Dave. It's fine.
Well,
what can I say?
Yeah. You're gaslighting for Sam, though. She knows it. She knows it's coming. When you say, "Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow," she knows. She has to remind you at least 5 more times before you actually do it.
Hey, stop it. And she's going to be listening to this going, yes.
That isn't a negative and destructive behavior. Where it becomes destructive, I think, is when it wears down. It makes the other person really question reality.
Yeah.
I just think that is the real dangerous bit, and it's horrible to witness, on a small scale with something like Love Island, but you take that into the outside world, and I think there needs to be a lot more awareness of what it really is, because sometimes you don't even recognize it happening. Yeah. And so being able to spot it, that it's happening, and calling it out, I think there's a lot of relationships, not just like kind of coupley romantic relationships, but just relationships in life. I think it would be a lot better. And I tell you what, Chris, I mean, we do like to stick the boot in as well, but I do think the generation that we're watching on Love Island now are so much better and in touch with their mental health than we ever were.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do agree with that.
Yeah, because you think even Jack's, like, so we were speculating, has he been pushed out? Turns out, they wanted him to stay, but he knew himself that he needed to go. And I was looking on BBC Sport, his team, because he got released, didn't he? He was playing for Castleford Tigers. He did get released, so I don't quite know what he's going to do, but he went back to see the lads the day after. It all got aired. And the quote from the manager was like, "Oh, I don't know what he was wearing. It looked like fancy dress." And I thought, well, yeah, that seems about right from a fucking rugby league Yorkshire club. You can tell it's just a bit of a different world there, more old school and macho. But, it sort of made me think, well, actually, I've got even more respect for Jax for recognizing that in himself. And so, yeah, I just wanted to call that out as a positive for this generation that typically gets a lot of stick.
True. Well, Dave, big thank you to everyone who's emailed us, cdrealitycast@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on social media, @cdrealitycast. And if you want to see pictures of me modeling my red Reality Radar t-shirt, I would get over to Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast on Facebook. You need approval. We'll approve you straight away. Get in there. It does look like the Littlewoods catalogue. But then again, Dave, it sort of looks like an old man wearing a T-shirt trying to look hip because, at 43...
It looks like Mr. Humphreys from Are You Being Served?
Thank you, David. So, yeah, I have got my shirt on. We are waiting for the Mr. Horrocks unveiling of his modelling of the shirt. But, yeah, thank you for everyone who's bought the shirts. Absolute belter. And I must admit, I got it out of the packet and I was like, extra large? That's not going to fit me. This is going to be like a Hulk Hogan t-shirt, but actually it fits quite well, to be fair. So I went for the round neck red one. I will be getting the black with gold as well, Dave, because black is usually my t-shirt of choice because I can hold my stomach in a bit more. But there you go. But anyway, thank you, guys. Today's roll call of honour is Annabeth, Gavin, Maggie, Kristen, Zoe, Tom, Gillian, Michelle, Keith, Helen, Brianna, Neve, Jacqueline, Noreen, Amy, Joanna, Helen, Libby, Katie, Dee, Hannah, Priscilla, Susan, Hennessy, Haley, Lauren, Lucky Lulu Green, and Ken Gustafson. So thank you so much. That list is getting bigger, but we appreciate every single person who's following us and supporting us on Patreon. Thank you, guys. Really, really good here.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, sir. It's great to talk to you again. We've obviously got a bit serious at some points, but yeah, still, I think I'm glad we've got that off our chest. So thank you very much. And thanks to everyone out there for listening as well. And hope you have a great rest of the day. And we'll speak to you next time.
Bye.